let's go live to Vegas. Let's talk a little Miami Heat basketball and a little Miami Heat Summer League. So thrilled to be joined here by Victor Oladipo's number one fan. And I'm a big fan of this man, Michael Christian, who's out there covering the Heat Summer League in Vegas. Now, Michael, I know this is a business trip for you, but like, how hard do you go in Vegas? Because for me, I have left my soul in Las Vegas a couple of times. There's a reason why they refer to it as Lost Wages, Nevada. Like, how big do you do Vegas, sir?
Man, okay, you see, and I feel like people are going to get on me for this, especially right now. I'm trying to do Vegas not hard at all. Just with everything going on, like even
Fair.
when I was walking outside yesterday, like I was walking out on the strip because I wanted to walk over to see like the fountains and everything. I still had my mask on even though it was way too hot.
Good for
There's
you.
just enough people that I'm like, you know what? I want to come back alive. I'm vaccinated, but I just, you know what? I just want to make sure that I'm safe. So I'm trying to take this one a little easy. I'm spending a decent amount of time in my room. But today I'm going to be spending the whole day at Summer League. And my goal is to get a picture with Wade, UD, Duncan Robinson, Bam if he's still here. That's the goal.
See, I think, and I totally respect what you're saying, by the way, because it's a dangerous world we live in right now with this Delta variant. But I'm such a degenerate. I think what I would do is I would try and find one of those casinos that nobody goes to, because if you walk around like every hotel in Vegas, like, obviously you've got the big ones, the MGM Grands and the Paris and Caesars and Bellagio, all the ones where the casinos get jam packed. I'd stay away from those. But I would walk like maybe just off the strip, like over to like the Hooters Hotel or something where there's probably 3 people in the entire casino. Dude, like I'm telling you, I would find a way. And again, respecting the fact that you're a careful guy, as we all should be. You're wearing your mask. You don't want to take home any germs. That's fine. I guarantee you can find somewhere a socially distanced casino. So that is your homework assignment for however long you're out there.
I'll find it just that you can take your trip up here and lose all the wages you've earned.
Oh my God. Oh man. By the way, Michael is getting trash talked in the chat by our guy Kai, who's Kai's gonna be joining. Like he's out there talking his nonsense. He's gonna be joining us later in the show today. So I would expect Michael to log back in and maybe trash talk Kai a little bit.
I wish you the best of luck with him because he does nothing to take people off tangent, right? Like the host has some great transitions ready to go, and he's just like, oh, and here's this thing from 10 minutes ago we talked about. So with Kai, look, best of luck, bro.
I can already tell you what's going to happen because I know Kai. I'm going to bring him on to talk Dolphins, and we're going to end up somehow talking Bayern and Bundesliga. Like I guarantee you something like that is going to happen.
Premier League is all that matters, and I hope Kai hears that.
All right, so I do want to get into Summer League with you. So you and I did hear you on 5R last night as well. So I'm going to try to keep it more upbeat, like than Ethan. Like Ethan, like he's asking you basically to bash KZ Okpala. He's taking it to all these negative spots. I want to start with the positive, Michael, because I have been watching individuals like Turk Nowitzki, also known as Omer Yurtseven, just putting up these gigantic numbers and looking so comfortable out there. And a guy that I've been bullish on going back to last year in Max Strus, who absolutely dominated against the Grizz the other day, and he hits the game winner in the sudden death double overtime. Talk to me about those players, Michael, and where could you see them fitting in potentially into the Heat rotation next year?
That's something that we talked about last night, and that's something that I think the negative side of things that Ethan was trying to bring out might also turn to be a slight positive. I think this team is talented enough at the top end to win games early on in the season before they get someone like Victor Oladipo back, right? Before they get some other players that are really contributing at a high level. And so with Max Strus and Omer, they have to contribute pretty early on. They're going to be a part of the rotation because there's not that much depth there. And with Max Strus, what's exciting is he's aggressive as hell, man. Like I remember watching him last season, the couple games he came in, it didn't matter what the score was or if he just came off the bench. The moment he touched the ball, he was looking to shoot because that was his job. He knew his job and he was trying to do it well. He's getting better at that. And something that you want to see from Max especially, right? Because Omer, you want to see him do well, but Omer's still developing. He's still new to this. So you just want to see him make the right decisions. With Max, you want to see him dominate a little bit. You want to see him take over and show, I'm a veteran in this league, right? I know what I'm doing. And he's been doing that so far. And that Grizzlies game was incredibly impressive. Without him, the Heat from the 3-point line were something like 3 for 22.
Wow.
But he alone carried the team from the 3-point line because he shot 7 for 17. He was on the entire time. And that lineup, which was amazing defensively with Garrett, Jarreau, and KZ Okpala, all good defenders. When Max Strus was on the offensive side for them, he was the only one working, and he's the only reason why they won that game. Because without him offensively, they had no identity, and it was amazing to watch him take off.
By the way, comment of the day from Alf. I would give COVID a disease if I was in Vegas right now. The last time I was in Vegas was shortly before the pandemic. I might have been patient zero because I lived it. I lived so large out there the last time I was out there. So I'm right there. I'm right there with Alfredo on that. I should probably stay far, far away from Vegas until we can finally put this pandemic behind us. So yeah, beyond Strus and Omer, who else has stood out to you? Because there's been really some good stuff from Garrett. Who else have you liked out there in Summer League so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say Garrett's been my favorite player so far in Summer League. I love what Omer's done, right? He's done great. In California, he absolutely lit it up and kind of forced the Heat's hand into giving him the contract that they did. Max Strus has been playing well, but Marcus Garrett just looks so ready to be on this team. His defense is exactly what the Heat are looking for. The tenacity is there. And what I love about being at Summer League is those little things that you can kind of hear and watch that you may not get through the TV, right? So Marcus Garrett spent the entire time playing amazing defense on Desmond Bane, who was a former 30th overall pick back in 2020, right? Good player, probably the strongest player in the NBA. I mean, that dude could bench the both of us combined. It's ridiculous. Garrett was playing such good defense on him. He started trash talking Caron Butler. So they started having a little back and forth. And at one point, after Bane got blocked on one end by Garrett, right, he falls to the ground. The Heat bring it over in transition on offense, but Bane is still on the ground over there. Caron Butler stands up, doesn't even yell anything towards the Heat offense, looks right over at Bane and says, "Hey, get your butt over here so we can talk some more. Come on, bring it down this way." Listen, between that, and I'm pretty sure Omer Yurtseven's father is at the games as well, because there was one guy in a Yurt jersey, which I didn't even know they made those. One guy in a Yurt jersey sitting a few rows behind us, and every time Omer committed a foul, he was yelling at the ref. Or if he dunked, he was the loudest guy in the entire gym. So I'm pretty sure his dad is here too. There's these little things that you can catch and watch that being at Summer League is an experience that I don't think you can recreate anywhere else. It's absolutely amazing.
How many people are actually in the gym watching? How many people do you think are in there, with media, personnel, and all that?
Man, it's a lot. So let's say, these games are at the Cox Pavilion. So it's at UNLV. You've got the Thomas and Mack Center, which is a larger arena, more arena size. And then you got the Cox Pavilion, which is a much smaller court. In the Cox Pavilion, which is where I saw the Heat play, I would say there was maybe about, if I had to guess, maybe about 1,000 people in there.
Oh, okay. That's more than it seemed like on TV. But then again, I'm mostly just watching for the Yurt highlights, so I might have missed some of the nuances.
Yeah, there's about 1,000 people in there, and then it's cool because you have one side is the benches. They cover the 3 rows, and then they let fans sit behind that. Media is on the edges, right, of all the benches. And then on the other side of the court, they have the first 3 rows blocked off for if stars or team people want to sit there. And so I looked across from me, and I'm seeing Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, John Morant, Jaren Jackson from Memphis as well. All these stars just sitting there in the front row, and people are just walking by them. Everything's chill. Right after the game, I was able to catch up with Caron Butler, and I told him, "Hey, love the trash talk out there." And he's like, "You know how it is," and he dacked me up real quick. It's this really personal thing that you can get here at Summer League. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I like the games at the Cox Pavilion a little better because everything's so much closer. So you're a lot closer to everyone else. I mean, even Eric Reed and John Crotty were sitting up in the top row. Dude, it was the best.
Had you covered Summer League, or is this your first experience?
This is actually my first experience at Summer League ever, and I think it's definitely making me want to come back. So already I'm looking into coming next year, and next year, Alana and I have already started talking about coming next year and doing it from a Feel the Heat perspective, right? Doing some podcasts out here after the games, trying to get interviews with other people. So my goal is to talk to UD about the Miami Dolphins because he was wearing a Merino shirt the other day. So I want to ask him what he thinks about Tua and all this stuff because people have asked him enough about the contract. let's talk to him about South Florida, right? He loves the Dolphins. Let's see what he has to say about that.
I love the fact that we had the biggest South Florida sports legend wearing the shirt of the second biggest South Florida sports legend in UD wearing the Marino. Yeah, and I would love now the challenge would be I would love to see Marino at a Dolphins preseason game wearing a UD jersey. So I want to see the real, recognized real. And let me ask you, since you brought up UD, do you see any downside to bringing UD back? Because this is something that it divides Heat Twitter, and I think people get very unreasonable about it. I basically worship Udonis Haslem. If he wants to have a lifetime contract and be on the end of the bench when he's Pat Riley's age, I would be okay with that. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think if UD wants to be back on the team, he has a right to be back on the team. And I understand a lot of people's arguments where, well, you can find a 15th player that you want to develop, right? Like maybe there's one more player that you wanted to get off of Summer League that you wanted to put at the end of the bench, right? And a lot of people worried maybe they can't get Turk, right? Maybe they can't get Turk Nowitzki because they go, this team is going to find a way to get the players they want, and they're going to find a way to make it fit, and they're going to find a way to do that with Udonis Haslem. Udonis Haslem has to be here. He is a Heat lifer. Right, you've let other Heat lifers walk. Right, Dwayne Wade went away for a little bit. LeBron, obviously not a Heat lifer, but Chris Bosh, unfortunately, what happened to him? Goran Dragic moved on as well. Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson, who all of us were very high on and seemed to fit the mold of the Heat player so perfectly, also moved on. You need some sort of carryover for like the emphasis that this team brings. Udonis Haslem is that guy. And if you listen to the Long Shot podcast with Duncan Robinson, which is a great listen, by the way,
it is.
He had Udonis Haslem on, and they talked about what Udonis Haslem kind of does on the bench, right? That veteran presence, telling the guys, be ready to sacrifice because it's the hardest thing to do, but it's the most important thing to do. And who else is going to tell them that, right? Like Jimmy can tell them that, but it's different coming from a guy who's been in the league for basically 20 years, who's seen everything under the sun. So I think that veteran presence, that leadership, you have to keep him on no matter what. And so to me, signing Udonis was an absolute no-brainer. People that don't like it, I understand their points, but Udonis has to be here if he wants to. Until the day he says, I'm out the door, he's got a key. And not even under the bat, literally in the door, just waiting for him to turn it.
All right, last thing, because I cannot let you go without asking you about Oladipo. Any idea what the timetable is? Because if you ask me the timetable on Oladipo being healthy, I would say 21:45 would be probably the timetable. But when do you think the Heat should expect him back? And theoretically, if he can come back healthy, how much of a difference can he make in this rotation?
So I think the timeline is very, very tricky with him, right? We've heard some people mention November. We've heard other people mention January. Other people even mention maybe as late as February or March. Ooh. It's all over the place. My guess is that he comes back sometime in late January, early February, but that is an absolute guess. That's not with insider knowledge or anything like that. What Victor Oladipo does for this team, though, is he unlocks so much from an attacking perspective. Kyle Lowry being on this team is going to be able to do that as well, but Victor Oladipo can also do that, and he can do that for our second unit. And defensively, look, I don't know if you remember one of the first games or one of the only games Victor Oladipo played. It was the Heat versus the Warriors. And the Warriors at that time were hitting on all cylinders because Stephen Curry was hitting from everywhere. And I remember they were just switching, right, between him and Ariza and Jimmy and Bam. Duncan was the only other one on the court whose defense might have been questionable. They were switching like crazy, and the Warriors couldn't do anything with the ball. Victor Oladipo's defense, which is always going to be there, puts his team to another level. And if his offense is even just a fraction of what it can be, right? If he's at 35, 40% of his normal offense, his attacking the rim, his playmaking, and his shot making are going to be so much that they're going to put this team over the top. It's going to open it up for Tyler and Max Strus, who he's probably going to be playing alongside. So I think Victor Oladipo is incredibly important for this team's long-term playoff hopes. For the regular season, I don't think they'll need him as much, but if they're looking at Eastern Conference Finals and Finals, Victor Oladipo, in my opinion, is a guy that really helps unlock that.
I love it. Excellent stuff as always. You guys want to make sure you follow Michael at Michael5RSN. He's going to give you all the great scoops on Summer League, and I've enjoyed it. I mean, I was saying the same thing to Greg Sylvander yesterday. This is the most invested I have ever been in Heat Summer League, and a big reason for it is so much enthusiasm from people like Michael here who's out there covering it, you know, people like Greg and Alex Toledo and Ethan, that I'm more invested in Summer League than I ever have been before. So enjoy that, sir, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, Donno.